have to be passed, and challenges taken care of in the e-books like the Kindles and the other types that we need to work with as far as the proprietary sources that they are. Kindle doesn't really want libraries to be involved with those yet. Things will be happening. I don't think there's any question that the public library of today will look drastically different than the public library 15 years from now.
Right.
The older generation, my group, almost 60 and up, we're really used to books.
Right.
And we check out and we buy a lot of books. When we start fading away and start moving on to wherever that next library is in the sky, I think your generation, others that are so used to this new technology, the computers, the iPhones, the Twitters and all those other type of things, the social networking, I think there's going to be an adaptation of those ebooks. It's just going to be common sense for you guys. So how will that impact us? What's going to be interesting to see what happens to things like the very beginning reader, story times, picture books. I've got a whole shelves of picture books. How can that be adapted in electronic form, or how will it be adapted to a group that you're trying to influence as far as the importance of reading and the importance of books and literacy? So we're going to have some change, and I think there's going to have to be some paradigm changes. But I think in my mind, a good public library is trying to keep on top of those new technologies as they come around, and to be prepared with them. We try to stay as much as we can on the cutting edge of it, not cutting edge, but a little bit back from the cutting edge. We don't want to bleed too much. Let somebody else take the chances and figure things out. Let them work out the bugs. But we have fiber. We have a great broadband that we have employed here. We have wireless technology. There's a lot of things that we're on top of right now for a public library. There are those libraries who started 8 years ago when we started seeing some of the early Kindles coming out. Not necessarily from Amazon, but other ebook readers. And they didn't have a lot of books available. They were very clumsy, kind of archaic. And we bought a couple of those, and we just weren't ready for them yet.
Right.
People weren't ready for them yet. But Kindle's doing some interesting things with Amazon that we're starting to see that happening and changing. But right now you can get online and download all kinds of books. So how is that going to impact our future? It's going to be very interesting to watch that happen.
Definitely.
To see over the period of time, those 8 to 15 years, when, maybe instead of buying 40 copies of the Hunger Games, maybe let's buy 10 copies, because we have a whole bunch of people still want to get involved with reading electronically.
Exactly.
But what's going to be interesting, it's going to be interesting to see how the commercial market and the library market work together or not. I think that's going to be one of the key indicators. Because, for example, for you to get on Amazon, it's cost you $9 or $10 to get that Kindle copy. Well, one of the reasons the library exists is to provide books and information for people who don't want to go down and spend that kind of money on a book, whether it's electronic or otherwise.
Right.
So I think what's going to happen is there's still going to be a market for a public library to provide reading material, whether it's for information or for entertainment, because we're still going to have a lot of people who are not going to be able to afford to buy every book that they want to read.
Right. So
there's still going to be a place for a library to loan. So I can see the potential of a model that we have all these copies of the next Harry Potter, whatever that might be, and they're electronic. And so we check those out. You keep them for 3 weeks. You can renew it for another 3 weeks. Or after that point, it just disappears from your computer or your little laptop or your ebook or your phone, whatever it's downloaded to. It eliminates fines, eliminates lost books, eliminates damaged books. Dog's not going to eat this very effectively. But yet the library is still going to be there.
Right.
And so what will be interesting to see is how much of our library services will be done remotely, that you can access from the street, from home, from school, that you access our databases of a variety of nature, movies, books, all these things, download them to your selected display and
you,
see where we fit.
So have you guys, started to consider moving into digitizing your library here, which may contain, many very unique books that you might not be able to get anywhere
We don't
else?
have, most public libraries won't have a lot of very unique items.
Okay.
We might have some because of Provo history and some things like
exactly.
And so, yes, we have started talking about doing that, some of that digitizing.
Some of the historical archives
Exactly.
that you guys have here,
Yeah.
that maybe...
Those type of things would be important.
Right.
But most public libraries, we're a popular reading library. And so you're not going to be seeing a lot of that. There's lots of legal stuff, and that's one of those big obstacles of copyright, ownership, who has the ability to do this as opposed to doing this.
Exactly.
And so that still is being hammered out in courts right now. Matter of fact, there's a big discussion with Google and trying to, you're aware of that, the Googleization project. And, well, who owns what, and how are authors going to get their royalties for their creative works? Million little things to be ironed out before we really reach that point.
Right, and I mean, do you feel definitely this may possibly turn into a threat to journalism and may change the landscape of journalism?
Oh, I see it real strong. Well, you can get online at any point now and read a newspaper article.
Right.
And they can just, it's right there. You don't wait for next day's news. And then you start seeing all the anonymous postings and the comments and things like that. We're already seeing a major shift in journalism, becoming much more of a response-driven type of a journalistic effort, where you have these 50 comments that can range anything from the crazies to some really thoughtful comments on these things. Yeah. And journalists are having to deal with that right now.
Right, and we're getting, it almost seems like we're getting kind of a dumbed-down journalism, where anyone with a laptop is all of a sudden writing, and the big concerns of is this going to lower the quality or level of writing that we're seeing
One of our huge concerns as an information place is the number of students. Middle school. Hello. Thanks. Okay. Tell them I'll call him back. I'll just got another 2 minutes here. Thanks.
Sorry, take your time.
That's okay. You're lucky you caught a window. The one of our big concerns about middle school, high school, and college students is the fact of somebody can type in, get to Wikipedia or another type of an online encyclopedia or a blog or something else, and take whatever is being said there as gospel truth, as fact. And too many students right now in today's age are just going, and that's their information, and they're writing their papers.
Right.
And so it is all dependent upon sites that are not being juried, they're not being edited to speak of, those type of things. So we have a lot of students that think they're doing research, and they think they're getting bona fide information sources.
They're kind of just chapping into a hive mind collaborative of who knows what's contributing to what.
One of my big concerns.
And there's a lot of bias, obviously, read into that, and I think it's trying to reestablish an authority, a group of I feel maybe even we may be looking at the death of authoritative journalism from well-educated writers who are schooled in journalism and schooled in these type of things, and they've got 20-something kids in college who think they know everything, and you know what I mean. And
we're seeing that today.
Yeah, so the importance of a library or a place someone can go to peruse our genuine books written by schooled authors and such,
and weighing points of view,
right,
and taking a look at different people and what they have to say about something, which I think is one of the major aspects of writing from a school environment. Is tell us about your thoughts about abortion. Well, you want to be an objective reporter, and so you need to have all sides of the issue.
Right, instead of just multiple points of views that are typically biased.
Exactly. Quite often you can get online. Let's just take abortion as a topic. It's still hot after all these years.
Oh, yeah.
And you can find hundreds and thousands. And the time it takes you to find a site and go to the site and find out who is behind the site, who is writing the information, what bias do they have. Most students don't go to that extreme. They'll go, oh, there's a good site. And that creative thinking and that critical judgment, I think, is being lost somewhat right now. I think that's something all of us, teachers and librarians, need to work better on.
Yeah, and we're definitely looking at a hyper-evolving world in a world of information.
Absolutely.
And what are we going to be able to do to put some checks and balances in all this, and make sure readers are getting adequate information.
Sure.
And not just buying into, like you said, a gospel, taking it as gospel truth.
I think that's one of the rules of the public library too.
So yeah, and that's why I think the libraries are very important. And how do you see, I mean, I don't know if you have any methodologies in place or what you're using to combat those problems, or to keep the library as an institution, as a trusted place where people can go to get legitimate information, and on the other hand, the beauties of what we're seeing in information becoming at our fingertips, and the Google project with archiving books and making them readily accessible. I can definitely see the pros in that, where now people can have immense amounts of information at their fingertips at keys of strokes, being able to find multiple sources.
Right.
and different things. And I definitely think that that's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, there's also this concern where we're just going to get a lot of babble and
Lots of plagiarism.
and lots of plagiarism, people taking other quotes and
Absolutely.
masquerading them as themselves. So, but yeah, I definitely want to thank you for your information.
Oh, you will.
And
It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be an interesting 10 years.
Yes.
I'm looking at probably retiring somewhere in about 10 years.
Right.
And it's going to be a very interesting time, information-wise, and seeing how libraries adapt
Right.
and how they're going to change and morph. And gosh, I'm anxious to see what we're going to be like in 10 years.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't know if you have anything on the table about technologically where you're taking this library here. Are you planning on doing a digital archive with your library, or maybe offering Kindles as a checkout type?
All those things we've talked about, and
Yeah.
a lot of it comes down to the dollars and cents right now.
Right.
When I still check out almost 2 million items, so obviously there's a big demand still for movies, books, things to take home, and so you have that. The idea right now, Amazon, the idea of buying a Kindle.
Right.
And loaning it, there's some legal issues. BYU tried it for about a week, and their attorneys told them to back off.
Yes.
Because there's some issues of ownership and all those type of things. All of us are watching to see what happens with this stuff, because it's going to tell us when and where we can step into the fray, and to
where
be
copyright
exact
issues.
all of those issues that have not even come close to being ironed out yet.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
ownership, and so it's one thing to. If we don't have a book, we can do an interlibrary loan to bring it from another library.
Right.
So one of the ideas of BYU was, gee, instead of doing that, let's just have a Kindle, download said copy from Amazon, and then loan it out.
Right.
But then Amazon said, I don't think that's quite what we want to see happen to Kindle. So who owns it? Here's this
and
technology.
How do you feel about that ethically? Like, for instance, say I own a Kindle. I purchase a book off Amazon. Typically, if I had purchased a hard copy of it, I wouldn't feel any ethical concern about loaning that book
Sure.
to my friend and saying, hey, read this book. It's a great book. Here you go. But with the Kindle,
The interesting question, isn't it?
There's there's some copyright issues in that, and you're not allowed to do a transfer and share a book with a friend.
All of these things got to be hammered out.
And
what's gonna be
that's
interesting.
what's probably
Yeah.
things like that's probably going to keep you in business, because you can get a book and maybe let a friend read it and return the book, and you guys don't see any problem with that, right? Or so I mean, it's definitely
it's gonna be interesting.
It's an interesting world, and there's a lot of problems. So
No
that's
question.
kind of where I'm going with this blog, is to kind of try to talk about
Good
this
luck with it.
copyright issue. So, but I definitely want to thank you so much
You're
for
welcome,
your time.
man.
This has
Pleasure
been very
to talk
informative.
with you. Good luck with you, and
Thank you.
it'll be kind of fun to see what happens.
Definitely.
Next 10 years, see how they go into library work.
Thank you.